data is portrayed, because one of my favorite books is How to Lie with Statistics. So a couple of days ago, we saw that there was a headline that retail sales the retail sales only increased 0.2% or something, and it was the comparison of September's year-over-year growth with October's year-over-year growth. Now, this article, I think, is much more fair. It says, woohoo, non-store retail sales jumped 14.6%. And if you remember back to September, which is down in here, in September they grew 16.9%. I think in both cases they were the best non-sales growth. Then you say, and you got to remember, back in 2000, the internet was just getting started as far as selling online. There wasn't, all the retail, all the digital advertising data starts at about 2005, right? So the year 2000 was just the very beginning of online sales, of e-commerce per se. And so to say that it jumped in 2000 means almost nothing. That's like saying your first store had great sales and then you added a second store in maybe an upscale neighborhood. Well, that would be something that's not even duplicatable. So the fact that non-store retail sales grew at the highest year-over-year rate for October in nearly 2 decades, and 2 decades goes back to the very beginning of the internet. Okay, so it's much more important than that. It's much more dramatic than that. I'm gonna see what I can see about this camera, because it's just too crazy that we'll pop it up a little bit. It's so dark. And ambient light is like this. So we'll pop it up like that. And we'll leave this around if we can. I don't think we can. We can't. So we'll hit OK and get rid of it. I'll put it down here so we can at least grab it. Okay, so now I look washed out and terrible, but somewhere in there is the reality of my look. So U.S. sales. So that was just good news for. It's a slowdown from year-over-year growth of 16.9%. It's not a slowdown. That's nuts. And these point this, point that, but it's better than Australia. Okay, so now let's go over to Americans don't trust how companies handle their data. We can boil this down. A clear majority of U.S. adults, 81%, now believe that the potential risks they face from companies' data collection outweigh the benefits. Makes perfect sense, right? Makes perfect sense. I know what we'll do. Give this a little bump so I won't look so terrible. See what happens. I'll give it more color, which is awful. It's just awful. Let's take this down a little bit. Quit fooling with it, John. Okay, I look like, now I look like I'm embarrassed, which I may be. Okay, 79% of Americans said they are not too confident at all, or not at all confident that companies will admit mistakes of breaches. To a large extent, consumers now believe that their digital activity is subject to third-party tracking. Okay, so that's nice. So here's another study. Consumers comprehensively reject the practice of brands, publishers, and platforms tracking their internet behavior without their explicit consent. And of course, one of the challenges of that is that, like with GDPR, it was like, okay, how am I going to get your consent? Can I email you and say, GDPR is coming, I'd like to check out, see if you still are okay with it? Also, GDPR requires that your consent expires after 2 years or something like that. How do I, which is really crazy because, I know catalog mailers that mail 10-year-old customers profitably. And so, the idea that it should expire in 2 years without restatement. Land's End, I was gone from Land's End for 10 years, and when I checked back in, my login was still good. They're tweaking with my login now, though. They're saying that they want a longer password, and I don't like longer passwords. I like to just get into a site because I'm a customer. Imagine you had a key code, you had to put in a key of 8 digits plus a capital letter plus a weird character just to get into a retail store. Just imagine if you had to do that. And that doesn't really make it secure. What makes it secure is how you guard your data, not how big a password your consumers put in. Because nobody really wants to steal my password to Land's End so they can buy me more stuff. And for the most part, I don't save credit cards online, and my credit card numbers change and expiration dates and all that. So even if you went in there and tried to send yourself something, it wouldn't work. Okay, so consent is difficult. Few sites or services allow for this and assume implicit acceptance. Okay? The new term for this is surveillance capitalism, which I kind of liked. So Pure Profile surveyed 1,000 consumers about cooking, device tracking, and the purchase of third-party data. Many consumers have an understanding they're being tracked but are not aware of the extent of the tracking. Consumers understand they're being tracked, but they don't necessarily realize that their digital fingerprint, the kind of computer they're on, the browser they're using, the resolution of their screen, those kinds of things are coming across the internet. And with enough, and your IP address, and with enough specificity, you can basically see that someone's coming again, even if you don't keep their IP address, right? But it's not IP per se. Okay, so consumers are rejecting all online tracking. Now, this is the one I really wanted to get to. The next battleground is your face. This is retailers. Marketers are using facial recognition technology to track your behavior and personalize your shopping. I didn't know that. I've seen the Minority Report clip. It's in one of my speeches where Tom Cruise is going into the store and they're tracking his eyeball retina. But listen to this. As soon as the customer comes to the store, we have her name on the screen with all the info that's relevant to this customer that makes her life better. That'll make her life better. I like that part. I like that presumption. We just show her what she likes. If the system knows she already tried these white pants and doesn't like white pants, we won't show her white pants. There are more than 120 patents filed by app and tech companies between 2015 and 2017. Some restaurants and hotels, including Marriott, are testing the software to offer personalized, speedy, and friction-free experience for harried consumers. Marketers are also using the technology to gauge consumer reaction to campaigns. In other words, they pick up on your expression. I don't know how they do it. I can't do it in real life. Stores including Target, Lowe's, on the other hand, have piloted facial recognition to curb shoplifting. So they're just using the identity and keeping track of the people that come in. The technology is growing faster than the laws regulating it. By just walking into the store, they are giving their consent to be filmed. When you walk into a store, we assume you've consented to pretty much anything that can include surveillance in public areas. There's nothing limited. Consumers who want to opt out are out of luck. So you think, okay, well, I'm not comfortable with being tracked online, so I'm going to go to a retail store. I'm not sure what retail store you want. Cosmetic companies like Sephora are using facial technology for augmented reality to help customers sample makeup. In China, it's common to be recognized by face as an individual, but most marketers in the U.S. use the technology only to determine age, gender, and ethnicity, which does make some sense, I suppose. Walmart has filed a patent for a shopping cart handle. Listen to this. That can track a person's heart rate and grip strength so that store associates will know if the customer needs assistance, according to reports. Yeah, but they could also check and see if you get excited at a particular point in the store, right? And then they could use cameras to measure where you're looking and see if they can figure out which product you're excited about. And then pop up a sale flyer if you try to walk away without buying. I'm just making this stuff up, but it sounds great to me. Okay, so tomorrow we're going to talk about first-party data, second-party data, third-party data, and how to collect data in a way that customers don't creep out about. I hope you'll enjoy it. I'm John Miglosh. Have a great day.